What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to PlayStation Generation episode 27 is what I'm going to say, and I hope I'm right. My name is Matt, and I'll be your host for today's events. I'm joined, as always, by the PlayStation Hokage himself, Mr. Rice Boy. What's up, Rice?
What up? Episode 2772. It don't matter. We out here and we love each other.
We do love each other. And some would call him the love guru. We got Denny in the house. What's up, Denny?
Let's go.
What's up? I like that. I like that. That was well said.
I don't know. The color of the hoodie, the way that Rice kind of like set that up, it just felt right. And I decided to run with it. Denny, how you doing, my dude?
I'm good, man. I'm it's been a hell of a week. Thanksgiving's around the corner for us Canucks here. So I'm ready. I'm ready to relax.
I feel you. I'm also ready to relax. As Denny said, it's Thanksgiving weekend here up in Canada. So to all of our Canadians and to everybody else, I hope you have a wonderful weekend, whether you celebrate Thanksgiving or not. I hope you find space and time for yourself to get a bit of rest and see your loved ones. If you're stuck working, all the power to you. I hope you still find some space for yourself, even within that craziness. As you can see, we're all coming in with the energy tonight. We all synced up on hoodies for the first time, and we all decided to put our hood on. And now I'm kind of jealous because Rice has strings and I don't, so I can't do that.
Ooh. You don't have strings?
I don't have strings, bro. This is a stringless hoodie.
I'll choke myself.
Denny just chokes himself out. That's for later, buddy. Save that for later, my friend.
True.
Tonight's show, we're going to be talking about some Dragon Ball. We're going to be talking about a little bit about Metaphor, reviews hit and stuff. We're going to talk about some PlayStation Plus, and then the main meat and potatoes, or tofu and potatoes, if you're veggie like that. Yeah, you're welcome. I don't know who, but just general. We're gonna talk. Yeah. We're gonna break down the top 10 PS5 games according to PlayStation Generation ourselves. And of course, that means this is the definitive list. No other list matters. And every game that's on the top 10, trash, garbage. Just leave it right off. They're straight into the heap. That's where they belong. But before we do all that, Denny, let's kick things off with you this week. I need to know what you've been playing. What's been keeping you busy?
Literally just it's been Ghost of Tsushima and God of War Ragnarok. I've been so juggling them. But who knows? After this weekend, things might change.
Okay. And how's the journey with both of them going?
Great. Ragnarok is fun. Ghost of Tsushima is phenomenal. I can't believe I've missed out on this game for so long. I'm having a hell of a time with that. I find myself for the first time in a very long time, this is a game that I'm making an excuse to find time to play it.
Excellent.
Let's go.
I have a lot of dirty dishes and laundry needs to be done, but fuck it. It's fine.
I haven't worked all week. I've been calling it sick every day.
I don't know where my vacation days went, but here we are.
Adulting out of the window. That's it.
Nope. Ghost of Tsushima on deck.
More samurai, less adult.
I think if we ever make shirts, that should be the shirt. More samurai, less adult.
I love it.
I like that a lot. Well, I wish you well as you continue your journey for however long you have left, because we all know that there are multiple games right around the corner. But Rice, my dude, before we get into those games, I want to hear it from you. What have you been playing, you beautiful baby boy?
Yeah, absolutely. Wrapped up the last season of Destiny 2 as the new season has just come out, and
I'm getting too warm.
Right after that, I went into Wukong, and finally got a chance to start Wukong, and Wukong is really whooping my ass. But
yep.
I'm having a great time, and I am going, wow, when did I slip into this?
Did you fight that there dong giant baby up in that?
Maybe that's it. That's it.
But did you fight that giant baby? That giant baby kicked my ass.
Yeah, that giant baby. I wasn't really ready for it. And, nope. But it's fun. It's fun. I really like it. I like the challenge. I'm having a great time. I like the fighting style. I disagree with people that it is a Soulsborne. It's more action for me. Less dying. So we'll see.
How deep are you?
Not very deep.
Not very deep.
At the
giant baby.
Yeah.
Goddamn giant baby.
Stupid giant baby. That thing took me forever. I had an easier time with like that area boss before, like in the back neck of the woods, like the fire thing, than I had with that giant baby. That giant baby clapped my ass over and over again.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun when you actually kind of hone in on the patterns, and then yeah, there is a little bit room to be careless, but not as much as Souls.
See, I think it may shock you to know that I am not a careful player. I know I give off that very specific energy. You know what I mean? I give off a very methodical and calculated vibe. I know, I've been told.
Absolutely. Patient.
Yeah, patient, not at all chaotic. Is what I've been told.
Right.
So that game, I got to a certain point, and I was like, no more. I'm good with this. Thank you very much. I appreciate what you're doing, but I ain't doing this no more.
Yeah.
As for myself, continuing along with God of War Ragnarok on the Steam Deck continues to be a blast. Just revisiting this game has been really cool because I haven't touched it since launch, and being able to do it just like out and about, doing stuff and being able to pop in for a bit of the journey is really cool.
Nice.
The Steam Deck has just quickly become like one of my favorite gaming pieces of gaming console accessory, whatever you want to call it, handheld. Ever. This thing is just utterly brilliant, and it's just real good. So I continuing to play that, really enjoying it. I hopped into Until Dawn, the PS5 remake. Shout out to PlayStation Canada for sending that over.
Nice.
A couple hours, I spent a good chunk with it, and Until Dawn as a game is still great. Yes, it's still campy. Yes, it's still ridiculous. Yes, the performances are still over the top on purpose, but the game itself still is sitting in my mind. You know what I mean? It's one of those experiences that I continue to think about when I'm not playing it. As a remake is where the question comes in. Sure. It looks beautiful. The lighting, and there's a lot of people that have been calling it already dawn, shitting on the orange lighting. That's literally the first bit of the game, because they set it they made it sunset instead of already being dark, even though 7 p.m. in Alberta would be black as night. But I appreciate the kind of vibe that they were going for in the opening little bit. The thing that bugs me is the walking is so slow. They took away the running.
Oh, yikes.
Which is annoying. When you're moving through those spaces, the new camera again doesn't really bother me as much as it's bothered other people, because they've kind of taken away those fixed perspectives. Because I remember playing the original and I kept getting stuck in places with those fixed perspectives. So the camera switch doesn't really bother me as much. The thing that does bug me is the frame rate not being able to run at a constant 30, and even that is pretty garbage. This game should be able to hit 30 frames per second. I understand it's running on Unreal Engine 5. But maybe this is one that they should have held and launched alongside the Pro and made that case there. You know what I mean?
Interesting.
But and again, I'm pretty sure the base runs the original runs at 60 on PS5. So to have to play at less than a smooth 30 is rough.
Yeah,
there's been a bunch of musical swaps and stuff that really weirdly kind of cut in at times that you're kind of what the hell is this track that's playing right here? It almost feels like, and I by no means am I saying that this is what they've done, but it feels like you took an AI to it and you're assign music to certain sections based on what's going on. Sure. Is what it feels like. It doesn't really always line up. But the biggest issue with it is the price point. Being an almost full price game, $79.99 here in Canada, with no upgrade path from the original for original owners. It is a lot to ask of people. For people who are looking to play for the first time and want the best of the best version, this is an easy way to go. If you've got the money and you want to spend it, by all means, go ahead. You won't be disappointed. The only thing I might say is wait a little bit and see if they can patch the frame rate to be a smooth 30 at the very least. But for anybody that already owns the game, it's a hard sale just because it looks better, but that's about it. They don't do much. There isn't much new content. There are new collectibles that are more annoying somehow because you have to twist them all over the place to find the totem, where you'd kind of see that flash of the future. But it's for me. What I'll say is, if you joined PlayStation with the PS5 generation and you've never played Until Dawn and you want the best looking version, go for the remake. If you're okay spending $20 and playing a version that still looks really good, don't get me wrong, and runs arguably better, just spend like the 20 or $30 that the original costs and play that. Because again, if this was a $10 upgrade path, a la Horizon Zero Dawn Remastered, I would say do it. Sure, why not? That original's still there. But as a full price title, it's hard to recommend just outright unless this is specifically what you're looking for.
Sure.
Metaphor, Refantasio. I played it. I beat it. The review is up on the channel. Both got a written and a video review for the folks out there. I loved it. Gave it a 9. The only thing that stopped me from giving it a 10, I was sitting on more like 9.5, but we used a 10-point scale here, so I give it the 9. Some performance issues, even on Xbox Series X, is where I played it. Just because it can't hit a consistent frame rate all the time, and sometimes when it drops, it's pretty noticeable. Being a turn-based game, it's not the worst thing. It doesn't really impact the experience. It's just one of those things that stands out. But the story is phenomenal. The characters are great. There's some really dark, deep stuff in here. It feels like Final Fantasy 16 meets Persona 5. Like if you essentially blend those together with a bit of Fire Emblem 3 Houses sprinkled on top, like this is that game. It is unabashedly about like the political structure while also being about like equality and hope, and being for like using fiction as a way to believe in something while pairing it with action, not just, belief for the sake of believing. It is a brilliant game. I would put it pretty much on par with Persona 5 Royal, in my opinion.
Let's go.
I think it's brilliant. The reviews are very, very well deserved. It's scoring super high. Let's actually, I'm going to bring that in right now because I have the Open Critic here. Where is it? Currently sitting at a 92 top critic average and 99% of critics recommending it.
Wow.
Incredible stuff. Like Atlas is just so very much on the roll. It's brilliant. I cannot recommend it enough for anybody who likes the Persona style games. It's so good. Go check out the full review. And the last thing, because I know I've been talking for a bit, I've been playing the crap out of Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. That review will be hitting the channel tomorrow, I believe. I love it. It's an 8 out of 10 game that I love like a 10 out of 10 game. Okay. The character roster is awesome. The battles are dope. There's so much love. The what if scenarios are really cool. There's so much love here for fans. But what I will say is that the campaign is hard as balls. And when I tell you that when I tell you that Raditz will kick your teeth in, what? I shit you not. I can't remember the last time I was like, I'm gonna start the campaign. I'm sure that'll be a great place to learn the game. And I had to back out and go to training for the next 2 hours. Because I like the world tournament is a fine way to learn a little bit, but like on the surface level, it seems accessible. R2 and Circle will use a Kamehameha. You're not putting like an input string in to be able to try and use these things. But the amount of like counters and revenge counters and dodges and the different types of attacks that different types of dodges work for, but they won't work for other ones. It's so mechanically deep. And on top of that, completely unbalanced. If you rock up online and somebody's using Ultra Instinct Goku and you're rocking up like I do like to do with my Teen Gohan, I have like a hair's chance of winning, and I have to play perfectly and be better than this other player to be able to pull that off.
Damn.
Don't say that. Teen Gohan's my guy.
I love Teen Gohan, Super Saiyan 2 Gohan, Teen Gohan, my guy.
Respect.
I've taken down some Gokus. I've taken down some Gogetas. I've taken down some Vegetos, but it is a struggle fest. Great Ape Vegeta can fuck right off. When I tell you that guy is such a motherfucker, like unbelievable. For Dragon Ball fans, this game is everything you want it to be and more.
Hell yeah.
For a lot of other people, it's still a very fun, very good fighting game. But I think the fact that it's unbalanced, just like Tenkaichi has always been. If I'm picking Hercule and I run up on Super Saiyan 2 Gogeta, I don't stand a prayer's chance in hell because that's true to what the anime is. It's true to what the games are. So I really love that they've replicated that bullshit because it just works.
Love it.
For this game. It just does. It always has been this way. So I'm glad that they stayed true to that, regardless of all the ridiculousness. So I love this game. It's been like all I've been playing for the last few days. It's so very fun. Well, again, being an unbalanced, difficult, ridiculous mess, there's a lot to love here. So what I want to know from you two before we kind of roll into our news. You know what? Let me pull. I have the scores here. So I'm going to go to Denny first. Denny, any one of these, and you know what? Let's very, very quickly before I actually go to Denny. So yeah, Dragon Ball Sparking Zero is 83 top critic average, guys. Like a Dragon Ball Arena Fighter is sitting there, and the last one that I'm just going to bring in, I haven't played, and I don't know if I'm going to, but now I'm very tempted. Silent Hill 2 sitting at 87.
Yeah,
87.
Wow.
This game, nobody believed in this game.
Nope.
Me included. I thought the trailers looked like dog water. I thought it looked awful, but it rocks apparently. And I'm not a horror guy, but maybe I'll dive in here. So looping back around, Denny, with this deluge of games coming on, we got Metaphor tomorrow. We got Sparking Zero in early access right now, but comes out full tomorrow. Silent Hill 2 is out. Is there anything on your pickup list? Anything that you're like, I got to do it?
I want them all. I do.
Okay.
I mean, I played the demo for Metaphor. It is fun. It's really great. And I mean, a Dragon Ball Z game, especially like with like, you know, that carries the legacy of Budokai Tenkaichi, is gonna be awesome. Oh, my wallet's gonna hate me this weekend, because I will say here up front, this will probably be 90% of what happens. I will sit here and I will say, I'm not gonna pick up anything. I will wait till they go on sale. I already have a big enough backlog. I will go to pick up the fixins for Thanksgiving dinner and walk out with video games. And forget the cranberry sauce.
Hell yeah. Hey. And then you'll be like, I got to go back for the cranberry sauce and buy the other games. Pick up the games that you missed the first time around.
All the flavors, bro.
Oh, that's exactly what's going to happen. Most likely, I need to like literally not leave the house this weekend because I will pick them all up.
What is the hierarchy here from like top hype to least hype, all being different realms of levels of hype? Not to say that not one of them are less. Which one of what's the top three here? If you had to order them,
top three would be Dragon Ball, Metaphor, then Silent Hill.
Hell yeah. Denny, all I'm going to say, you know, treat yourself. You've been working hard, okay?
I just pre-ordered Sonic Shadows Generation.
Listen, man,
pre-ordered it this morning.
The pre-order takes the money once the game ships. If you assume you order physical, that money hasn't been spent yet. Okay, that's a future problem. Okay, think about it this way: you haven't spent any money. There's been no money spent. You've been working hard. It's Thanksgiving. It's a time of the year where you're supposed to love everybody, and that includes yourself, Denny, my dude. You deserve it. At the very least, you deserve 2 out of 3. And if you're really feeling fancy, get 3 out of 3. Fuck it. Who cares? You're already playing two genre defining games. Add 3 more on.
Add 3. Go on.
Add 3.
Add to cart.
Add to cart. Ship that shit.
You know what's great? You can edit the cart. And even after the cart is edited, you realize you didn't edit it. And then your happiness comes first.
And somehow you have 3 copies of Sparking Zero. Because you didn't check the cart. You edited it the wrong way.
That sounds like something I would do.
I've done that before. More with chicken nuggets at McDonald's than video games, but you never know what can happen.
Facts. Oh, food leads to... Oh, man.
Nuggets.
Rice, my dude. Anything on the pull list? I know none of them is Dragon Dogma 2. Okay, I know.
I mean, as much as I love Dragon's Dogma 2, Dragon Ball trumps everything for me. Like, Dragon Ball is like everything. It is the reason why I love anime. It is the reason why I started drawing. It's honestly like a large part of my video game experience. And so the fact that you have told me that this is kind of like a fan's game, that's so exciting to me. So like that's number one. I'm intrigued by Metaphor, and like everything that you've said, like very easily sold on that. Probably won't pick up Silent Hill, but I will consider it if people want me to stream it.
I want you to stream it.
I want you to.
That might be me shooting myself in the foot right now on the internet. It's gone. It's gone forever. I like spooky, but I like spooky because I can experience it with other people. So we'll see what we can get out of that. And Dragon Ball everything. Denny and I just got finished having a conversation on Dragon Ball Daima, and we're just super stoked about anything Dragon Ball.
Hold on. Where were you having this? Where were you having this conversation, Rice? Where can people find this conversation if they want?
Absolutely. We are having conversations on many different things with Power Up Gamers, and you can follow us at Power Up Gamers on YouTube as well as on other socials. We're having some really fun ones there. So anime lovers, games lovers, pop culture, all of that. We have some good conversation.
Yeah, make sure you go check out the fun conversation. If either one of you do end up diving into Dragon Ball, hit me the fuck up, and we can ruin each other's Thanksgivings online.
You might get a message
Deal.
from me tomorrow morning. I'm not gonna lie. Then
See, that's how you get other people to buy it. It's like, I'm better than you.
Oh, I'm not saying I'm better, but what I am saying is we will ruin each other's days.
Oh,
If you're
I'm okay
gonna
with
win,
that.
I'm gonna be
Yes.
salty about it. I'm just will. Okay. Just
Oh.
My goal is to beat Raditz first try now.
if you do, I swear to God, I quit this show. I leave and never come back. It's over for me. I'm done. The feather in my cap was I took Grade 8 Vegeta down in 4 tries. That'll be the feather in my cap right now. I've seen other people literally saying that they spent days trying to take that monkey motherfucker down.
I've heard. It's crazy how much I've heard of that fight specifically, Grade 8 Vegeta, and just like getting absolutely handled. So I'm intrigued.
Prepare that A9. Let's hop
A9.
into one quick story here before we get into the nitty-gritty of the episode. Because the PlayStation blog has announced the PlayStation Plus game catalog for October, including the likes of Dead Island 2, Toping Campus, Gree, Return to Monkey Island, and more. Is written by Adam Michel. Our extra folks, we got Dead Island 2, 2 Point Campus, The Devil in Me from the Dark Pictures anthology, Gree, Return to Monkey Island, Ghostbusters Spirits Unleashed, Firefighting Simulator The Squad, Overpass 2, Tour de France 2023, Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Wildlands. Coming to premium, we get The Last Clock Winder to PSVR 2, Dino Crisis, Siren, and R-Type Dimensions EX. A pretty solid month, my friends. Rice, my dude, anything on this list that's like got you going?
No.
Fair.
No. Not that any of those games don't interest me. It's because I gotta focus in. I gotta get through Wukong. I'm playing a little bit of catch up here in terms of Wukong, so that I can go ahead and justify the purchase on the joint bank account that I have with my partner Becca, and it's all to a purpose. Everybody, you gotta realize sometimes you need a plan in order to get what you want, and so I am just trying to commit to the games that I get,
Right.
and
Here's
then
what you
purchase them after I've committed to them. Yeah.
Here's what you do. You rewind this podcast to about like 5 minutes ago, and you listen to Matt's like motivational speech about how I work hard and I deserve stuff. Just
And it was a
play
hard week too.
Yeah. You take that same thing and you apply it to yourself.
Listen, Rice, what I'm going to tell you, okay, is this. Your partner loves and cares about you. I would assume. I would hope. Okay.
Yes.
You have a wonderful life together. You have an incredibly beautiful child together. And at a time of the year, one celebrating holidays, celebrating family, celebrating the things that we should and the people that we should be thankful for, leading to an extended holiday, again celebrating family and Christmas and stuff. I think this is one of those times where you say, Becca, I know you would want me to have this. I know that you would want me to be happy, but you're too scared to say it. I understand that. So I'll do this for you, Becca, for me, and just buy Dragon Ball.
Wow.
And then because what I believe with my entire heart, and it never works, but it's better to ask for forgiveness than it is permission. Okay.
Permission. Right.
So what I think you should do is just go for it. And then when she sees it, just be like, and when she sees it, she's gonna look at that statement. Her eyes are gonna go wide. She's gonna look at you, and you're gonna be like, "Thank you, babe. I know you wanted me to have that. You know how much Dragon Ball is important to me. I used to have the orange VHSs. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I used to have I used to run tape back in the day. Okay, I had this thing. This thing is a formative piece of. I know I got Naruto behind me, but what it should be is Dragon Ball. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
This is
Becca,
this is a descendant. This is Dragon Ball.
Exactly. If without Dragon Ball, Naruto would not be. The Rasengan,
Facts.
yes, it's a Dollarama, it's a Dollarama Kamehameha. We know that.
Facts.
Okay. We know this. So
it's a wave.
It's a wave. It's a wave. It's a wave. Okay.
Yep.
So I think you go in with that.
You're
energy.
onto something.
You buy it for yourself, and then you deal with the problems later. But there won't be any because she's a lovely person who cares about your happiness.
Man,
Yeah,
we're all
and
gonna be
like
single so fast.
no, it's fine. We're in therapy. It's
No,
fine
listen,
because
you just tell them to call me. Okay. Blame everything on me.
Matt is
Okay?
now our financial advisor. Buy a PS5 Pro. Buy
I used to
3.
be a financial advisor, no longer for good reason. Okay.
I had a really good chat with my video game consultant, and he
Thank
said
you.
that
I
this will
prefer
be
that.
good for our marriage.
Yeah.
Absolutely,
If
absolutely.
I'm happy,
You're
you're
onto
happy,
something there.
we're happy, the family unit is happy.
Absolutely.
And listen, it's such
This
an
is
easy way
part
to
of our
be
practice.
such an easy way to be like, listen, our son needs to understand. This is the
Mm.
perfect age for him to
That is
grow up
so
on this.
true.
This
Yes.
was important to me growing up, so it should be important to
Mhm.
him. I have to see if he'll enjoy it. That's all, babe.
Yeah,
There's no other way for me
I
to
think that
possibly
might be
do
a
that.
It's
perfect.
an investment in your son's future.
Yep. There's no
Right.
other way to
Right.
possibly introduce him to Dragon Ball outside of spending $100 on this game right now, babe. It's just the way that it is. I don't
You're
make
so
the
right.
deck. I just play the cards that I'm dealt. Okay.
You're so right. You're so right. Right. Like Father Son Kamehameha. Come on.
I'm saying,
Father Son Kamehameha.
I'm
Like, come
saying,
on.
listen,
Of course. Of course my son
next,
needs to know what that is.
next
Mhm.
Halloween writes itself.
Oh,
You know?
fact.
Oh,
You know, I'm just saying.
Yeah, one day I want to be able to throw my son into some, some violent fight against a really, really strong alien that's made of a lot of people's cells and almost destroy the earth before I decide to step in and save the world
What you should, what you,
momentarily.
and how you close this argument out as you go like, listen, babe, I remember the time I first saw you. Okay. I was nervous. I was so scared to come and talk to you. And then I remembered the
Mm.
words of Goku, of never giving up, of perseverance, of endurance,
Yes.
of
Yes.
fighting for the things I believe in. These things I learned from Dragon
Mm.
Ball, and our son will learn so too.
I really hope that I don't accidentally call her Chi-Chi.
Even if you do, strengthens the argument.
That's true. That's true.
That's been the
I'm gonna get
podcast for this
beat
week, folks. No, nothing else needed. We don't need any more conversations. But anyways, Danny, how do you feel about PlayStation Plus this month?
I forgot
that bit lasted long.
Oh my god. It's cool. It's good.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't even answer the question.
You kind of did because you're like, no, there's
Yeah.
nothing I want to play here. I got too much shit to play.
I'm busy.
True.
I would definitely be interested in Dead Island 2. I know it's probably a tire. Is it still a tire fire? Was it a tire fire? I know the
I think,
first.
I think it's supposed to be like good. Like it's not like it's not
Finally?
great, but people are saying that like it's a fun ride, from what I remember. One of those like 7 out of 10 is that like you play and enjoy and then you forget about from what I remember.
Yeah, I'd
Yeah.
give that a run. And I definitely play Dino Crisis again. By the way, if there's anyone out there from Capcom listening, remake that shit, please. I will buy that day one. Just remake that shit. It's fucking Resident Evil with dinosaurs. I want it.
I won't even have to give him a speech.
No,
He'll go out there and buy it all on his own.
I'll save that one speech. I'll buy it on my own.
Shoot your shot.
Yeah, shoot your shot, dude. For me, Dead Island 2 is something that I've again similarly been curious about. I don't know when I'll have time to play it, but it's something that I'll be happy is there. The Devil in Me, similarly, now that I've been playing that Until Dawn, that supermassive Dark Pictures anthology, maybe calling my name a little bit. So I might hop into that. Gree is beautiful, incredible experience for anybody who's never
Such
played
a beautiful game.
So beautiful. So yeah. All right, guys. Let's get into the thick of it because we're gonna throw down here for a little bit. We're going to be breaking down the top 10 PS5 games, and the way that I want to do this is that we've all brought games to the table. Okay, we're going to build a list together, and then at the end we'll kind of fire off some of our own lists because we've been working a little bit. We've been talking.
Yeah,
because I want to see if we can, as a unit, land on a list of 10. We don't have to number these 1 through 10. This is just going to be 10 games that we believe is the best on PS5 experiences that you need to play. Number 1 through 10, Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. Becca, if you're listening, that's all you need to know. But what I want to do is we're going to put forward games, and this has to be either a 2 out of 3 or a unanimous agreement. Okay, if I put forward a game and you both are like, nah, it doesn't make the list. We're gonna try and go for 10. And I'm gonna do something kind of dangerous here. I'm gonna give us each a veto. No more arguing. Game is out. Not landing on the list. Okay.
Yeah.
So
all right.
I want us to work together in the spirit of Thanksgiving to put together a list of the top 10 PS5 games.
All right.
And I'm going to pull up a screen here so we can. Here we go. Let's do this. Let's do this live. Okay.
Oh, let's go.
Number one. Okay. What do we feel? I think for me, and I'll kind of kick off the conversation. An easy one that I believe truly with all my heart belongs on this list is Astro Bot. I think that is obviously a recent game. Recency bias is a thing, but I think at the same time, this is a game that not just is exceptional in its own right, incredible level design, tight platforming, just endless creativity, constantly on full frontal display. But it's also a celebration of PlayStation as a franchise, as a history. On top of the fact that it's just a blast to play through. I think it genuinely rivals what Super Mario Odyssey does. I think PlayStation genuinely has an incredible potential franchise on their hands here. That if they let Team Asobi run wild, which I hope that they do, they have something special here. So the game I'm putting forward to join our top 10 is Astro Bot. And what I will say very quickly too, before I throw to you guys, we can bump games. So if we land on 10 and there's still games that we're putting forward, we can knock games off the list. But I would like I'm putting forward Astro Bot.
Yeah, that's a really great answer. I would also agree because on top of that creativity, like to echo that sentiment of creativity, I say this all the time, man. Like the DualSense is such a wonderful controller to experience, and if you're fortunate enough to do so, like honestly, the most unique controller experience out there right now. So that's definitely I agree on that one.
Denny, are we in agreement here?
Sorry?
Are we in
total agreement. Total agree.
Done deal. All right. First one, guys, easy. So far so good, smooth sailing. Denny, I'm gonna just go down the ladder here. Denny, I would like you to put forward a game for our top 10 list.
Sure. So I'll put the game that I had above Astro Boy because Astro Boy was number 2 on my list.
Astro Bot. Put some respect on his name, bro.
Did I say Astro Boy?
You did.
Yeah.
Shit. I keep doing that.
Astro Boy is different, you know.
I know.
Hair gel.
I know.
Red boots.
They kind of look the same.
Alfalfa. What?
I'm kidding. I know.
Yeah, distant cousin.
Yeah.
Yes. I would put up Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
You knew that was gonna be
that had to be on there. Like, I mean, there's no argument about that. It is PlayStation through and through, even if it comes out to PC. And it is a hell of a game, hell of an experience. Expanded lore. I don't know. It's just, to me, it is the quintessential RPG on this generation right now.
I agree with you entirely. I was kind of thinking because I was like, we need some Final Fantasy on here. Is it 16 or is it Rebirth? And I genuinely think Rebirth is the better game. I think it does more with even outside of the nostalgia factor of it being, Final Fantasy VII. I think the game is brilliant. I think it's massive. I think it's heartfelt. I think the combat is just so cool. Like, it's just so many little touches, like music slightly changing and like we kind of coming and going depending on where you're running. Like it's just there's so much love put into Rebirth, while running fantastic, while looking fantastic. I'm 100% in agreement.
Yeah. Okay, so I guess it's my turn. I am gonna lobby for God of War Ragnarok. Okay. And God of War Ragnarok was such an experience. One that came off of God of War, played on the story of Atreus and Kratos and how that's expanded. And honestly, if I'm talking about the objective kind of experience and what the community has talked about, it's just what a great unfolding of a story, and the way that the God of War franchise had kind of been revitalized. It was just a great way to end some stories, some arcs of the Atreus Kratos season, I guess we can look at it as, and it's just so memorable to me. So yeah, God of War Ragnarok. Let's freaking go.
Yeah.
Denny, so far with your time with the game, do you agree?
Oh, 100%. I am invested in the story. I look forward to playing it to see just exactly like I love the fact that there's a father-son relationship, and I think that's something that like Rice said has revitalized the story, right? Because now, you went from Kratos, who just did not give a damn and had one mission in life, to a different person who now has someone he has to look after and take care of. And it's a very organic flow to that story. and it's something I can appreciate, and it's a great twist, and it has been a hell of a blast playing it. I think like I'll sit there and I'll play it, and the next thing you know, I'll be like, oh my god, I've already clocked in like 5 hours in one day. So it is a great time. So 100% that I agree with that.
Same. I think Ragnarok, while it does, I think suffer for a bit of sequelitis, where
Sure.
it is a little bit more of the same. At the same time, I
Sure.
think it's really clever with what it does. I think they very easily could have gone in on the spectacle, and they definitely do at
Right.
points, which is wonderful.
Right.
But they ground it all in character. It's not
Yeah.
spectacle for the sake of it. It's spectacle
Sure.
because they're amping up a moment.
Yes.
I think it is brilliant. I think a lot of the things they do, it's genuinely surprising. I think there's great times in there. It is beautiful to look at, heartfelt moments, serious moments, funny moments. I think it just, like, God of War, I think has really become, in my mind, since Uncharted kind of stepped back
Sure.
from the mantle, and given
Yep.
how sparse The Last of Us is in terms of its offerings, and and how often we
Mhm.
get them, God of War has really kind of feels like it's become the face of PlayStation again. And in
Mhm.
terms of kind
Mhm.
of like their big budget first party, this is the PlayStation IP. God of
Agreed.
War Ragnarok is that, for better or for
Yes.
worse. It
Yep.
nails what that is.
Absolutely.
So I agree.
Yes.
Um,
Yes. Yes.
the next game that I want to put forward, and let's, what, we'll keep going through this until we get all 10, and that's when the arguing will really start to see what games we start
Mhm.
bumping. I want to put forward Spider-Man 2. I know people feel mixed things about this. I love this game. I think it takes everything that the first game does and does much of it better. I think story is the one area where it doesn't succeed to the same heights that the original
Sure.
does. But in terms of gameplay, in terms of side quests, in terms of in terms of just emotional strength, it is such a blast. And it again just nails fun. It
Yeah.
truly nails a just fun, electric, ridiculously awesome experience, having both centered on Miles and Peter. There's so much cool stuff here. I
Yeah.
think Spider-Man 2 is an easy lock on this list for me.
Yes. And
Yep.
also nods to the universe that Sony has built outside of the video games, puts it all together. I mean, like, if anybody has dove into the comics, like I said before, Matt, like I was diving into the Spider-Man comics. I really dove in, really dove in, and even read some of the ones that are in the PlayStation world, the Sony world, and I was so intrigued. And so Spider-Man 2, yeah, I would agree. This was on my list as well,
Hell yeah.
because and for the same reasons, right? Because it was a culmination of all of uh the groundwork that the Marvel's Amazing Spider-Man did, and like it was just so great. It put
Mhm.
everything together with Miles, with Peter, and you can look, people will have their opinions on how the story fleshed out and what characters were what, but I was fully in it. I was going into the lore and listening to the sound bites and going into the database and reading more about it. So yeah, absolutely, Spider-Man 2's up there for me as well.
Yeah, I agree. For me, it was a hell of an experience. Another one of those games that I played from start to finish without playing any other game. And
Mm.
when I put this game on my list, because there's a lot of Spider-Man games out there, and I'm sure we've all had our share of Spider-Man games that we played. And even in the same amount of time when this came around, like you had like what was that Avengers game by Square Enix that came
Oh
out,
my god, yeah.
right? And you remember
Oh
the
boy.
Spider-Man, like how Spider-Man played in that game,
We don't talk
like
about that.
exactly. There's a reason why I'm bringing it up, but
Yeah.
like it's just
Yeah.
Insomniac really got what it meant to be like Spider-Man, I feel. And there were times where I found myself almost like in a GTA type vibe where I'm just swinging around doing nothing because it was just that satisfying to
Yeah.
be Spider-Man in this game. So for sure, it definitely belongs on this list.
Yes.
Denny, hit me with
Oh,
another game.
this is where it gets tough because this is like my top four already. I would put Elden Ring on there.
Agreed.
Ooh.
Agreed.
Yeah, it's a great game. It's hard as hell, and my favorite out of all of the Soulsborne type games. And I've played Demon Souls, Dark Souls, Bloodborne, and Elden Ring. And this is one
Oh.
game that caught my attention. I loved the open world aspect of it. And I wish I could have beaten it. I really wish I could have beaten it, but it handed it to me a lot. Like, I have my problems with that game, but I kept coming back for more punishment. So
Right.
for me, it definitely belongs on this list.
Yeah, I would agree. I'm not a FromSoft player. I'm not a Soulsborne person. Elden Ring grabbed me and did not let go for quite a long time. I found the biggest, Kamehameha blast of a spell and cheesed my way through as much of that game as I possibly could. Hit a wall, left, and then literally earlier this year came back to it and got to the last boss, and then I couldn't beat the last boss, and then fell off of it again. But I think I think the FromSoft games as a whole have been such a generational staple. I think since Demon Soul was the first one.
Yeah.
Demon Souls. They've created their own niche in the space that has been replicated ad nauseum since. Nobody touching the crown that FromSoft wears. And I think Elden Ring took that formula and made it accessible for the first time in a way that it is still hard as balls. It is still going to push you unimaginably so. But it also made it so that, I'm getting my ass trounced by this boss. I'm going to go back to the open world and around level a bit. Maybe there's a different space. Maybe there's a different area I could lose myself in. And there always was. So I think Elden Ring is one of those games that, while it is not entirely for me, I respect immensely and really, really, really enjoyed my time with.
So I can't give too much feedback, as I actually am one of the players who have not checked out Elden Ring. That is in the backlog. But I understand the fandom. I understand why it has also been a really worthy entry point for a lot of players who aren't Souls players, because of basically just how you can build your character, and yes, it's punishing in the way that the Souls games have been punishing, but also satisfying. Like it does really kind of balance out that crazy difficulty with fun. So I think it is worthy. I'm not gonna veto this, because I'm interested to hear more before using my veto.
I was gonna say, if you use your veto, I'd be making a trip soon. So.
Rice, my dude.
Yeah.
Hit me with your next game.
I'm gonna lobby for a game that surprised me, and that is gonna be Stellar Blade. Stellar Blade was something that was for me pretty unassuming. It was just this new thing that
very wholesome
game, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, make sure you get this game for all of your children, and
separate copies.
That's a crazy statement. Like, as a parent myself. Oh man. Okay. But really, really surprised me. Like, outside of that stuff that was like highly whatever, it gained a lot of traction, created a lot of discourse. The game itself was just really, really good. I had a great time. I had some minor issues with the story, but like it did not deter from my really positive experience with combat, with the aesthetic, and just the general world of the game. So yeah, Stellar Blade.
Yeah, I really like Stellar Blade as well. I think it's a great game. I think I personally really enjoyed the story. I know a lot of people didn't, but for me, I thought it caught me off guards in a couple ways. I thought combat, while I think Stellar Blade is a game that gets better as it goes, as you spend more time with Eve, as you unlock more, it just gets better and better. The beginning is rough, I will say, but I'm okay with leaving it on the list for now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ooh, dodge the bullet.
For now,
I'd leave it on the list too. I haven't played it, so I can't really comment too much about it, but I have heard the reviews on it have been pretty good, bearing any sort of commentary on the main character, but the actual gameplay and everything seems to be good, so I'm okay with leaving it.
I will also say that I was not expecting such a stellar soundtrack with this game. The soundtrack is phenomenal.
It is a banger after banger.
Absolutely. Even if you didn't play the game, check out the soundtrack. It's fire.
Mm-hmm. I'm actually going to bring in one of our community members. Shout out our new Discord. If you haven't joined it, please do so. All of us are hanging out in there talking shit and being fun. Dave Pietrangelo, also one of our Console Creatures hosts, wrote in saying some games that he thinks belong on the list: Returnal, God of War Ragnarok, Spidey 2, Rift Apart, and Horizon. And I'm going to use that because I feel like this is one I may have to argue for a little bit. I am going to put Returnal on here. I think Returnal is phenomenal. I think it is one of the best feeling games to play. Again, I'm not a huge one on punishing difficulty, and that game is hard as nails, but it had me locked in. Absolutely locked in. The gunplay is so tight. The movement feels great. It's just such a fun game that just has you completely locked in. And again, one of the only games that does justice to the DualSense. You feel the difference in the guns, the clacking away of the triggers as you're using different weapons changes, and the weapon feel is different. I think Returnal is phenomenal. I haven't gotten to the stuff that they added to the game because I haven't played it since launch, but it's one that I still think about, and I want to go play like the co-op because it just looks fun. So I think Returnal 100% belongs here.
Yes, cool. 100,000% agree. After playing a game like let's say Hades, which I thoroughly enjoyed, it's almost after I had experienced that I had jumped into Returnal, and it was phenomenal. It was phenomenal. On top of what you've already said, like creature design was also really intriguing to me.
Yes,
it was a very pretty game. It was very, very pretty. And while difficult, I was just like really intrigued to like know more and see it unfold more. And so so good. And even just just playing with like as a co-op was super fun as well. Anything else that I wanted to say about Returnal? Yeah, echoed everything, plus the DualSense. So great, so good.
Denny, my dude, hit me with your next game.
Oh, this one's probably gonna get some flack for it, but I'm gonna throw it out there anyways because I enjoyed it immensely. Yeah, it's not controversial or anything, but I would put Street Fighter 6 on here just to go a little off. Oh no!
Oh my god! Okay.
Someone's gonna veto really hard right now. I feel
I'm saving my veto until we get this 10, and then we start arguing about what stays and what goes. I have no opinions on Street Fighter 6. I'm not a fighting game guy, largely speaking, and I haven't played it, so I'm going to just slowly back away from this conversation.
I like it. I have fun with it. And that's all I'm gonna say. I really enjoyed it. Unfortunately, I was very late to the PS5 hype train because I only got my console like 2 years ago. So, I really tried to pick games that were like PS5 that I played, like not PS4 games and stuff. And I had fun with Street Fighter 6. I know the reviews were a little on it. I know they didn't really like the community features on it, but you know what? There's a legacy behind Street Fighter that kind of plays into this. I loved it. I had fun with it. It's probably going to come off the list, but I'm fine with that.
I'm still not going to use the veto, but I will provide an argument.
Go for it.
I think only one fighting game belongs on this list. And for a number of different reasons. No, it's not that. It's not. And the reason why I'm thinking
please.
For listeners, Matt is currently typing Dragon Ball Sparking Zero because Becca let Rice buy it. Yes, and yes, Becca, I hope that you can hear me out there. I love you so much. I was gonna lobby for, and this will get people arguing, I'm sure, because a lot of people love their fighting games. I think that one title that is more deserving. Oh my goodness! Well, this one is also
PS5.
That's a huge no. But like, if PlayStation, Matt just typed in PlayStation All Stars. If that was a contender, a worthy contender, I would. It was Tekken 8, guys. Tekken 8 belongs there more than Street Fighter 6, in my humble opinion, because Tekken truly did start on the PlayStation for a lot of people. It kicked off the Tekken journey. Tekken 3 arguably I don't want to fight against a lot of people, but like Tekken 3 was arguably like a huge turning point in the franchise, and everyone that's followed and the fact that this is in the current gen's canon is huge for the fighting community. So, and we just got Heihachi. People are like have been back on the game and playing the game again. Heihachi was a huge face for PlayStation for a number of years. So
Just a large face.
a large face.
Just very large.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. We'll keep going. I think the next game I'm going to put forward to round out our 10 is going to be Baldur's Gate 3. When you talk about a genre defining experience, one that truly levels everything else around it. I'm not one for these types of games. I love RPGs, but I'm not one for these isometric top down.
Sure.
I've tried to get into them time and time again, and they've never clicked until Baldur's Gate 3 grabbed me and did not let go. Phenomenal writing, incredible choice, genuine effort for every single part of the game. There are things that you can play the game over and over and over again, making different choices that radically change the experience completely. Talking about, playing multiplayer, talking about playing co-op. Baldur's Gate 3 coming up to launch was a game that I feel the Baldur's Gate community was talking about and nobody else was. And then once they dropped that bear sex trailer, it was game over, right? Full steam ahead. And I genuinely, that's what started people talking.
Honestly.
And then it hit and it took over. It won Game of the Year last year at the Game Awards, did it not? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Like talk about an incredibly niche experience that completely broke out of the mold.
Yes.
Baldur's Gate 3 is one of the best games of all time, in my opinion. And an easy lock on the top PS5 games. So that's I think deserves to be there for me. We have our 10, folks.
Yep.
We're gonna keep this train rolling. Denny, I'm gonna go to you. You're gonna put forward your game, and I want you to and then we will argue if something else knocks or if it doesn't even make it.
So one game I had on my list, being the RPG nerd that I am, was Final Fantasy 16. Tough sell because we have Rebirth on here already. And does it knock anything off as I look at some of these other games? I don't know. I don't think it does.
What would you knock anything?
I'd probably knock something that I didn't play, so possibly Stellar Blade, but that's not a knock on the game. That's just my lack of experience with it.
Fair.
I think Street Fighter or Tekken need to go. One of the two.
Okay? I knew.
Because I do think that Final Fantasy 16, and this is just some disrespect because I think Final Fantasy 16 will end up leaving the list as well. But I think that there's two fighting games there that both have their love and have their support.
Sure.
So for me, I think one of those need to go.
I totally agree that Street Fighter should leave the list.
You know what? If it's for Final Fantasy 16, I will second that.
Okay, look at that. No, there's not a lot of discourse there. I appreciate that, Denny. That is very humble of you.
Again,
to realize.
We're starting well, guys. This is a good conversation. This is
how heinous a choice Street Fighter was. Oh, what?
Hey, I still got my veto. Watch it.
Rice, hit me with your next game.
Okay, so I did try really hard. This is why I texted you guys about keeping it first party. So I will lobby for a first party game to be up there, and that'll be Forbidden West. Horizon is it is I am one of the people that really enjoyed Horizon anything, and so now I know the whole debacle about the prices of, anyway, we're not going to talk about that. We talked about that on another episode. Make sure to check out that other episode in this playlist and all of the other episodes that
we're talking Forbidden West here, though, right? Like that there's no debacle there. Forbidden West launched as it is. That is a current gen experience.
Yes.
You know?
Yes. And let's see, what would I knock off for it? This truly is like what Denny had said earlier. It's because of the lack of experience, and I would that's actually, I'm shooting myself in the foot here. Yeah, let's actually take off Tekken for this game because and that's huge coming from me.
That's what I mean. You put it on.
That is
you brought this game onto this list. You can take it.
Absolutely. So yeah, respectfully, Tekken, as much as I love you, Forbidden West does belong on this list.
Okay. I agree with the change. We'll see long term.
We'll see if it stays.
To stay on the first party train, a game that I'm shocked hasn't been brought up yet
Yeah, I've been waiting.
is Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. Talking again about
Interesting.
a game that has stood the test of time. We've had so many of them,
Yes.
all varying degrees of quality. But since the remake, it's just been hit after hit. The Ratchet and Clank is just a ton of fun. It looks gorgeous. The Rift feature is so cool. Introduces Rivet, a fantastic new character to the
It
ethos.
is good.
I think it's one of the uses the DualSense in fantastic ways.
Yeah.
I think it belongs on this list. And I would argue for it to replace Stellar Blade. Because while Stellar Blade is a great game, I think Ratchet and Clank is a fantastic game. I think that Stellar Blade is let down by its opening hours. I think it doesn't really walk into its true potential until later in the game, once you're more comfortable in Eve and have upgraded her in more ways than one.
Sure.
I think Ratchet and Clank is just a fun game. I think it's a family-friendly game. I think it's just to take a 20-year-old franchise and not do what they did with God of War, which is reinvented entirely, but to nail down the formula and introduce layers on top of it that meaningfully change the experience. I would argue to put Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart on this list and to take off Stellar Blade.
Yeah, I'm actually not going to give pushback there because I think that Stellar Blade has given me a little bit of recency bias. It's something that I played Ratchet and Clank a long time ago, and so I will say that is a very, very good argument, and I allow this.
Denny, what do you
welcome
think?
it.
I have no complaints because that was on my list too. So,
and honestly, if you can make an argument for the DualSense and the controller experience, to me, like that's an easy win, right? And this does so much better than what Stellar Blade did with it.
What the hell is Ratchet and Clank? Clank. Clank.
Ratchet and Clank Raft a parties.
That's the Dollarama version, right?
100%.
Temu.
Denny, hit me with it. Or is it Denny? Right. Is it right? No, I just went. Yeah,
Denny.
Yeah. Okay. You know what? I had Persona 5 on my list.
Is that a PlayStation 5 though?
It is. I played it on PlayStation 5. I had it for PlayStation 5. It was kind of iffy on my list. Honestly, with the games we've got on here, it's hard to knock anything off for that for me.
This is a solid list right now.
Yeah.
I would agree with you, Denny. I do think it belongs on this list, but I think at its heart, it's still a PS4 game.
Yeah.
Even Royal is still a PS4 game in my opinion.
Yeah.
While again, one of my favorite games of all time, I would argue that I don't think it belongs on this list, but I think something else does, and I'll fight for that when it gets to my turn. Oof. So for me, I don't think I would take anything off this list for Persona 5, which is heresy for me to say. But I think that the only one that I would argue would be to kick Horizon off and put Persona 5 on. But again, I think that it is a PS4 game for me at the end of the day.
No, for me, that was a fringe game, but just to fill out my 10. And like I said, for me, my experience with Persona 5 was on the PS5, so a little bit there. But yeah, like I said, I think this list is solid, and Persona 5 has a hard time cracking this top 10.
It would crack it for me. I just think that if we were talking about an all-time list, that's one thing. Rice, are you comfortable leaving Persona 5 off then?
I am very comfortable with leaving Persona 5 off.
God damn it, you answered way too quick there, son.
No. I was gonna say
about it.
No. It was an incredible title. Seriously, it was. I just it's trying to narrow down these experiences to the current gen PlayStation 5. And I am trying to exclude, I didn't mention any of the Last of Us games. Because
same.
Because they were remastered, even though they were released, they weren't kind of like a new experience for me for the PlayStation 5 generation. So
I agree. Same. Which is why I haven't brought up part 1, which I do think is a definitive way to play that game, but at the same time, it is still the game we played a decade ago.
Correct. So it's hard. It's hard because you need to give credit where it's due, but we are trying to narrow down to the PlayStation 5 experience.
Okay, Rice. Give me your next game. If you have none left on your list, we can keep moving. I'm just saying for anybody. If you have more in the hopper, let's keep going. I know I have more in the hopper that I will be fighting for. But
I think I may, yeah. I want to hear what you have to say, because I think that a lot of the games that I was thinking of don't meet the criteria that I'm trying to push forward right now. So I'd love to hear your next suggestion.
Yeah. Go for it.
The issue that I'm going to have with arguing this is that it comes out tomorrow. But Metaphor is genuinely an incredible experience that is on current consoles. That I think, again, in my mind, is as good as Persona 5. And I'm going to end my argument because I don't think we should have this conversation before either one of you even has an opportunity to play it.
Yeah.
I do think it belongs on this list. And I do think once we revisit this list in the future, because we will live this list standing and edit and augment as we go. But I do think Metaphor belongs here, but I'm going to keep that in my back pocket for now. What I am going to put forward is Alan Wake 2. And I would take off. What would I take off?
Ooh, that's tough.
Because I think Alan Wake 2 is just such an incredible game front to back. I think I don't think there's any bloat to that game. I think it is creepy and incredible and tells a fantastic story. It looks gorgeous. I think that is such for somebody that never cared about Alan Wake 2 was announced. I couldn't care. Now I wait with bated breath for the next DLC because again, first DLC drop, incredible. Alan Wake 2 is just such a phenomenal game that I have to argue to take Final Fantasy 16 off and put Alan Wake 2 on. I think I'm very happy with keeping Rebirth on the list because I think Rebirth is a better Final Fantasy game and a better game overall. But I do think Alan Wake 2 clears Final Fantasy 16 on this list for me.
Okay, hear me out. I think that this is the way that I'm trying to categorize this list and really narrow down is if the game was available at launch on other platforms, then I would consider that not top PlayStation. It is subjective to players who have experienced the PlayStation 5 other platforms as well. So like for example Elden Ring, right? And I would put that in the same category as Alan Wake, right? Because Alan Wake was released on all platforms.
It was multi-platform. So it was Baldur's Gate 3.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Wasn't Baldur's Gate delayed for Xbox? So it was only PC or PlayStation?
Yes. That is a very good point. Yeah, the Xbox version came out much later. So I do understand your point, Rice. I completely do. And I approached it initially in that way as well. But when I think about if I picked up a PS5 for the first time, right? Okay. And I'm journeying into this and I didn't own a Series X, what are 10 games that I need to play? You know what I mean? And I think those should be, and again, Persona 5 is 100% a game that I think belongs on this list. But I think that there are 10 games that have come out on the PS5, regardless if they were elsewhere, that deserve to be part of this conversation. You know what I mean? If we didn't have Rebirth here, I wouldn't be trying to knock 16 off because I do think Final Fantasy being a storied PlayStation franchise, should be present here. I just think that 16 ultimately misses the mark in a way that Rebirth doesn't. And I think Alan Wake 2 is just a tighter experience. I completely get what you're saying. And at the end of the day, I have to convince one of you to back me here. I think I would make that argument.
So as I'm going to assume other resident Final Fantasy fan here. I kind of see what you're saying about Alan Wake and its comparison to Final Fantasy 16. Like you're right, Final Fantasy historic franchise, but with the way 16 was delivered, presented, produced, whatever you want to call it, the game itself, if you took off the Final Fantasy name, it would probably be just another action game, like another Devil May Cry type game.
Yeah.
So I think agree with that. I think the fact that the experience could be it's not in the name, right? Like you look at Final Fantasy 7, obviously there's that you have that aspect of like the RPG and the building and the story and the lore, and it's so much more fleshed out. Granted, I know they have a lot more, like a Bible to work with probably, but yeah, like I mean, I think Alan Wake 2 would be a different experience and one that isn't easily replicated by another franchise or another title. Like if you slapped a different name on it, like you would still probably be like, this is a lot like Alan Wake. Whereas I think if you slapped another name on Final Fantasy 16, you could be like, oh, is this like Devil May Cry? Is this like Bayonetta? Is this like what is it? Like it's another one of those kind of games. So
And again, no shade to Final Fantasy 16. I think it's a fantastic game.
Oh yeah.
I just think Alan Wake 2 is better.
Okay, question. And I think that this would kind of tip the scales for me. What has the better DualSense experience?
I'm going to say I cannot remember enough about either to confidently answer that question.
I think 16 would have a better DualSense experience because it's tailored to the PS5 and the DualSense. So there's a little bit of like the adaptive trigger when you're opening doors and when you're doing certain things. Alan Wake 2, I can't remember, but I know that was kind of a multi-platform launch, and usually with multi-platform, they don't do too much with the DualSense, like specific features.
I think it's a worthy contender in terms of a top 10 games. PlayStation 5 though.
So I think Rice and I are on opposite sides of the fence. Denny, I think you need to end the tie. I think you need to tie break it.
That's right. For time's sake here. We can talk for hours.
Because I'll be I understand either one of them being on this list.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Denny needs to kind of tie break it.
So for the sake of variety and kind of like my initial point about Final Fantasy 16, same thing. No shade. I love that game. I waited and bought the deluxe edition. Wait, what? Okay, yeah, no, that's right. You're absolutely right. Yeah, we can put Alan Wake 2 on the list because for me as well, there's a better variety now. We don't have like 30% RPG or 40% RPG. Now we've got different experiences, which, ultimately you probably want as a gamer.
Mm-hmm. Denny, anything else that you want to argue for?
No, my list is like pretty much up here, so I'm pretty happy with this.
Let me see if there's anything left. That
I rounded. Yeah. What others did you have?
So for me, and again, this starts kind of getting down to like my personal stuff that I can't really make an honest argument to come on here. Balatro, I think is an incredible game, but I think lives on a lot of places. I don't think that's synonymous with being a PlayStation game.
Yes.
But I think it's an incredible game. Neon White is one of my favorite games in recent memory. I think it is brilliant, but again, it didn't come to PS5 first. It joined later. But I think would be on my top 10. Tales of Arise, another fantastic JRPG.
Yes.
But again, I'm trying to keep in mind that we already have representation here in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and Arise is a different beast. But I think Rebirth is the better game when I'm kind of comparing them in my mind. Midnight Suns, again, as a Marvel fan and as a strategy game fan in that I think is an incredible game.
Interesting.
Roller Drome, as the Tony Hawk lover in me, to this weird
that's
skating shooting game that's just incredibly tight mechanically. It's something that I was thinking about, but I think otherwise that's kind of everything that I would fight for, because again, I'm pretty happy with how this list ended, or is theoretically ending, in terms of its kind of comprehensive look at the PS5 from its launch until now, in terms of different things. I know Court will be mad that we didn't bring up like MLB The Show and stuff, and like again,
but that's multi-platform now, and you can get it day one on Game Pass. What a rip!
But it is it's only first party. Yeah, so I can see the argument there. Yeah, I just don't care about sports, so I'm not gonna make that argument. But I could see that being as part of the conversation.
I'd be interested to see how our list would differ from other people's lists in the comments and in the questions and stuff. So.
Chris Zazer also wrote in saying Astrobot, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, and Marvel Spider-Man 2. Easy. Like we hit all those marks. Ed Varnell at the boss at that retro code wrote in saying for him it would be Stellar Blade, Returnal, Astrobot, Horizon, God of War, Demon Souls, so the remake, Gran Turismo 7, which we haven't talked about, Spider-Man 2, Final Fantasy Rebirth, and 16, Silent Hill 2 for some at this point, and Stray also had its moments. Again, Stray, really cute, really fantastic game. I wouldn't put it in a top 10 list personally. I think it's a great game. Gran Turismo 7, I'm not a racing person, so I can't argue for it well enough. I could see the argument for it being on this list. I don't know what I personally would take out.
So, as someone who likes Resident Evil, he's Gran Turismo. I kind of sort of had it on my list, but then kind of rejigged it because that was also a generation release, so you could get that same experience on the PS4.
That's also how I thought about it, and I think that while Gran Turismo is a worthy PlayStation, title, and that could contend for this list for a lot of players that love racing games, there are other experiences out there that do emulate a simulator experience. And if you followed sim racing, that was not the top contender.
Mhm. Very true.
There's your Assetto Corsa, right?
Yep.
And that just kind of topped all of the racing experiences. One can lobby an argument for some motorsport. I don't think that motorsport delivered as much as Assetto. So that is my argument. I have a deep love for the Gran Turismo series because that's also the beginning stages of my gaming journey, but I don't know that it belongs up here.
I'm happy with this list, guys. I think
Yeah.
that it's pretty. It captures a lot, and I think
Yeah.
that if anyone were to be entering the ecosystem now and played these 10, A, they'd be
Mhm.
busy for a very long time,
Yeah.
and B, there's not a single miss here. While every game might not be for each one of us, I am really happy with how this represents the PS5 thus
Yeah.
far.
I agree. I love that a lot of genres and experiences are represented in these top 10. Like, you're getting all of it.
Yep.
Same. All right, guys, let's round out with a couple questions here. I'm going to start with Black Wyver. Dude, I'm so sorry I missed your question last week. You wrote it in the Discord. The Discord was new. I asked for questions and I forgot to check for questions, so that is entirely on me. My bad, my dude. Let's kick things off with you. Congrats on getting the Discord. Be prepared for some lengthy questions of mine for the show. Keep them coming. Gaming question. Now that we have The Last of Us Part 1 remake on PS Plus Extra, what is the next PS exclusive game that you'd want to see in the catalog which isn't on at the moment? Easy for me, Spider-Man 2, and I think that's pretty imminent.
Yeah.
It's coming up on the year anniversary. I think it's a game that 100% should be there. Final Fantasy 16 would be another one. Again, easy recommend that I think will probably end up sooner than later. But I think Spider-Man 2 is an easy lock for me.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yep.
I would agree with that. Hard agree.
Second question that he has is saying non-gaming question. Do you pour the milk in the cereal bowl before or after
God
you
damn.
add the cereal?
After.
So you put cereal then milk?
Yeah.
Correct.
That is correct. That is
Why am
the
I
only way.
drowning my cereal?
That is objectively correct. You put the cereal and then you put the milk. How do I know the proper ratio if I'm just eyeballing it by
Absolutely.
dunking cereal into milk?
Yeah,
Do
absolutely.
people do that? Is this an argument?
Yes, and people put their knives right side up in the sink strainer thing. Did you know this?
Do you like cutting your hand as you go to do
That's
things?
dangerous.
No, that's what I'm saying. There are people out there that just live for chaos. They just want to watch the world burn.
They're probably the same people that run with scissors or hand them to you blade first.
No, you run faster with scissors.
Yeah.
Through the air, I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you just have to make sure you point them at yourself in case you trip and fall, you don't hurt anybody else.
That's the right way.
Safety's always first.
Safety's always first. Use safety goggles. That'll help. Edward Varnell at the Boss Rush Network one more time writes in at that retro record, this time with his question saying, my question. I've been thinking about the game Rime for a while and how it handles death and acceptance. Do games like that make you appreciate things in the real world more? And do you think Sony's platform does a great job hosting and having games like it? Yes, for me, 1,000% yes. The game Spiritfarer, which is a game about running like a boat for the afterlife, has stayed with me for years. Before their eyes, man, I'm blanking on the other game right now. It's like a storybook game, Lost Words. Again, a game that just had me bawling, and there are certain scenes in that game that just are burned into my memory. I connect very, very much with media as a whole. Into like for me, movies, books, like gaming, music by a long shot. I'll cry at commercials if they hit me in the right way. Like these things resonate with me very, very deeply. So 100%. Like sometimes sometimes you finish a game and all you're left with is like, what?
Yeah.
What? You just this kind of weird sense of like hollowness that's not negative, but it's just you need time to sit on it. And I do think Sony does a great job hosting that. I think we've gotten a lot more games like that across the spectrum in the last little while, and I think games like that are important.
Yeah, I think that there's so many human experiences written into these video game experiences, and whether that takes you to another world or helps you relate to the real world, they are still rooted in stories that are real and tangible and relatable. And anything that emotionally moves you, first of all, is art, and it is really tapping into something that we don't often, or at least the general people who have not experienced video games like we do.
Mhm.
It really provides a context of how deep and how lovely an experience can be when experiencing it through a video game.
Well said, my dude. Denny, what do you think?
Well, right now I'm just sitting here being like, what? No, no, I agree, and I think Bryce really hit the nail on the head because, like, you know, like every other art form, gaming is an art form, and I think sometimes that gets lost in, you know, the push for pixels and frames and, you know, all that other
AAA.
stuff. AAA, exactly, right? Especially, you know, AAA games, some of them, like, for example, I'm just gonna say this right now, Call of Duty is not really an art form. It's just a game where you go shoot people to me.
Fair.
But yeah, you know, these story-driven games, you know, we're spending more time playing a game than we do maybe watching a movie. We're maybe investing the same amount of time as watching a TV series.
Mhm.
So, you know, the ability to connect and have them make us want to connect and invest that time. You're emotionally invested, of course. I think that's so important in these types of experiences. And yeah, definitely, games like this will pull at your heartstrings. I've gotten emotional at the weirdest games. Like, I don't want to talk about that right now because I'm gonna start choking up.
You're fine.
But yeah, no, it's very true, and I'm glad these experiences are out there because it does get to show the whole media as an art form and not just something reckless.
Snap, snap, snaps. Well said. Thank you for the question, folks. We appreciate all of you so very much. That brings us to the end of this week's show. I just want to wish everybody well. I hope everybody has a great weekend, whether you're Canadian or not, to the people that are celebrating or not. Again, just find some space for yourself and do whatever makes you happy, if only for at least a little bit, if that's all you can fit into your schedule. We love you all. Be well. Denny, my dude, if people could see and hear more from you, where could they do so?
Yeah, they can do it on YouTube. They can do it on Instagram. They can do it on Twitch. Mostly Instagram, probably. Everything is available on my Linktree. So Linktree/Generatio Gaming.
Go check out Denny and all the spots. Of course, Rice, my dude. Where can people find you?
Twitch.tv/Rice, BOYYY-TV. That is my link tree as well. Follow me, interact with me. Love you. I'm grateful for you.
We are always grateful for you. Go check Rice out in all the spots. Go check out their conversations at Powered Up Gaming as well. Neither one of them is plugging it properly, so I will do it for them. Go check them out.
Oh, yeah.
Get in on that Dragon Ball hype. If anybody's in the Discord and wants to throw down a Dragon Ball, hit me up. I will lose to you gladly. That brings us to the end of the show. We'll be back next week. We appreciate all of you so very much. Be well and be safe. Peace.